Hello everyone, welcome along to the Nürburgring, where we are getting ready for qualifying for Radical Cup Europe, a brand new championship for this year alongside the Creventic series, and very excited to be at the Nürburgring at the start of July. And it is beautiful weather where most of Europe has been baking in huge heat waves. It's perfect here, perfect to go racing with an air temperature of 20 degrees, humidity at around 37. The cars will love it, the drivers will love it, and it is, even if it is not the Nordschleife, it is still hugely loved by racing drivers and teams alike.
Yeah, it's a great circuit, quite different for us to be on the Grand Prix circuit. Creventic's first run here, first meeting. Absolutely brilliant to have them here finally. It's taken a lot of work to get us here, and well done to all involved to making that happen. Grand Prix circuit opened in 1984. Of course, hadn't had Grand Prix here since a very long time. It was 1976 was the last Grand Prix held on the Nordschleife, but of course we have the 24-hour and other events here back in May at the 24-hour. We've got our radicals lining up in the pit lane, and shortly in the background we can see some of the GT3 cars being readied for their session a little bit later on. But radicals is our first focus this afternoon, Ben. Great run they had at Paul Ricard. Two 50-minute races at Paul Ricard just last month, and here once again same format of this weekend.
So a new championship for the Creventic promoter this year, and a logical step as well as a sort of feeder series into the prototype cup that they also promote. It's obtained from Europe to Germany, and we will see cars with one driver, we'll see other cars with two drivers, and it will be eventually 50-minute races with that pit stop to change drivers tomorrow. But today is all about qualifying. Stick with us across the various championships for qualifying for each individual racing here at the Nürburgring. Let's go down to our pit reporters, and we can welcome along Carla Velti.
Welcome to everyone from the legendary Nürburgring pit lane. We are here for the Creventic Radical Cup qualifying. You are seeing behind me the cars that are already lining up, and I want to make my way down there because there is actually quite a lot to cover. The drivers are already in the car. As you guys in the commentary box mentioned, some cars have one driver, other have two drivers, and there are actually two type of cars that are on track here. We have a lot of the SR3 XXR, which already exists since 2002, and we have one SR10 car, which exists since 2020. I want to find out later on why one of the paired teams is driving the newer car and all the other ones are sticking to the 5th generation of that very first car. But you can see behind me that the cars actually made their way through some of the very last pit boxes that we have here on the pit lane of the Nürburgring to be ready to go as soon as the lights go green, which is actually right now. And as I speak, cars are rolling out, shifting into gear, and now it's time for you guys in the commentary box to cover everything that happens on the track.
Absolutely, here we go. Cars sitting at the end of pit lane, so temperature in the tyres will be a little bit low, and therefore an opportunity to get some temperature into those tyres before really the cars work correctly. As Carla mentioned, just that one Radical SR10 for Vortex Performance and Peter Gustafsson. That's the number 9 machine to look out for. But mainly teams entered from the UK. Of course, Radical, a British brand, and they will complete their year with the World Finals in Barcelona, which is the final round of their year. They'll also have the last 2 rounds of the European Championship there as well. But a hugely successful brand that's gone through various iterations. It spent a little bit of time flirting with the idea of road cars, but now very much track focused again. And yes, as Carla mentioned, these cars are nigh on 20 years old, the idea and basis of them.
Yeah, I remember them coming out and it being a real sort of track day thing, and it was setting the UK track day scene absolutely on fire with this totally different concept, and it's grown and grown and grown, and fair play to Radical for building it into what it is, and this series for the Radical Cup Europe. We saw at Ricard just last month some of the names that were right up at the front, the Vortex performance car of Peter Gustafsson and Philip Svensson. This is the single SR10 entry. Had a not so successful Saturday at Ricard, but a much more successful Sunday. Some of the names to look out for: Marcus Littlewood. Ross Board had these are RJ, so Ross is in a RJ Motorsport entry. He had a retirement, sadly, whilst running up right in the top 3. Marcus Littlewood was right up there as well. Pascal Bachmann was with Valerie Bachmann, his wife. They had an issue with, I think it was an engine that they did an engine change at Ricard before qualifying, and then it tightened up and they felt it wasn't right to run it, so Valerie quite rightly pitied it was overheating, so they saved that. And Valerie is being here this weekend but not taking no further part in the weekend apparently, so Pascal, the husband, is going to just be driving that car. That's a number 17 entry. That's also an RJ Motorsport entry. RJ being overseen by legendary sports car racer, Brazilian, based in UK now, Tommy Erdos. I'm sure we'll go say hello to him at some point.
Sometime commentator as well in the McLaren Trophy Series.
I know, we don't like that, do we? Poacher, gamekeeper and all that. Stick to driving, which he's very, very good at. He's also Chief Marshal at Goodwood nowadays for revival meetings, yes. And you can't, because he's been there, it really is gamekeeper turned poacher, isn't it, or vice versa. It's he's been there, seen it, done it, and knows what to do now.
Yeah, I think he was also driving stewards for the McLaren Trophy at the same time as commentating, which is an interesting double role. 14 cars on the grid, all 14 out on circuit, and a first attempt at a time for Marcus Littlewood. It will be probably not quite up to speed as yet, but you can see how little these cars look on this circuit. They are very compact little machines, very direct to drive and very enjoyable indeed. And Marcus Littlewood will be the first to complete a time, although I imagine, Snowy, we're not yet going to be up to full working temperature. It's quite fresh, the air today. It's not that humid sort of hairdryer air that we've had over Europe for the last 2 weeks.
No, as we witnessed, say, a month ago in Ricard, where it was really soaring temperatures, and last weekend at different venues, Spa 24 Hours and Austrian Grand Prix, we were having 40+ degrees centigrade, which is more than enough. You do not have to be sitting in a car and doing that. At least these are open. It doesn't make much difference, because of course when you sit in a racing car, you're wearing, unlike other sportsmen and athletes, you're wearing completely the wrong kind of gear. Because everybody else has kit that's designed to help them breathe, or let the clothing breathe, your perspiration breathe. In a race car you have quite the opposite, because you have fireproof stuff, and overalls and layers of, and gloves and socks and boots and a helmet and a balaclava and all that. And it's not a nice thing to go and sit on in these cars. Why do we do it, Ben? Remind me.
To be fair, technology...
Yeah. Answers on the postcard to the Combot, please.
Technology has got a lot better, hasn't it,
yeah.
though? So the race suits and Nomex layers have got lighter and thinner. I remember when I bought my underwear, it was infused with mint. So when I sweated, it then made me feel cool. It didn't last.
I really did not think so early into the weekend we were going to be discussing you buying underwear.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Lewis Stevens has got himself the fastest lap time on that first lap. That's why we're now following car 64, this black and yellow machine from RJ Motorsport. Brian Huang, who doubles up in the North American Series, second fastest, 0.4 of a second back. And then it's Marcus Littlewood, who has got the clear track ahead of him, but only third fastest. Big gap then to Paul Denning, who's part of the Fangio Cup for this weekend for drivers. Now, I had this information and I've now lost it. Drivers over 30, or is it 50?
50, I believe.
It's 50, okay, that makes more sense. I didn't want to be rude to anybody.
So you can't partake yet, I can. And by some measure. Shush.
We're using, as you may have seen, the faster, more preferable chicane at the end of the lap, so missing out the, I think they call it the Schumacher S, which is the tighter version designed to slow Formula 1 cars down at the end of the lap, but the Nürburgring Nordschleife version is the second, third gear, I imagine, in these. Fast left, right flick, and that is what we are using for this qualifying session. Littlewood goes up to fastest time on my timing screen anyway.
I was just going to say, because Lowen Stevens had just got it, hadn't he, in the RJ Motorsport, and there are 5 entries for RJ Motorsport, but you're quite right, Marcus Littlewood has reasserted the form he had at Paul Ricard only a month ago and re-established himself. The SR10 car has dropped to the back of the field, as it did at Ricard, which is slightly strange, and then it had a great day on the Sunday, so I'd keep an eye on that one yet, but it will at least win its class now, likely, because it's the only entrant in it.
Yeah, so your timing tower on the left-hand side, I think, is not yet showing correct positioning in that. Oh, there we go. Now it's sorted itself out. So it's Marcus Littlewood, 1.7 seconds ahead of Paul Denning. Brian Huang in third. Morten Stromsted, sorry, in fourth. And then, does that mean that Lowen Stevens' second lap time was an improvement? It does. So actually, he did one lap straight out the pits, and his second lap time was then 7 seconds slower. So we should watch out for Lowen to see if on this lap it's an improvement. And also Mitchell van Dijk, who is just come across the line and got up to second spot in his car 67, which I think, was that not the car that was a last-minute entry? No, sorry, Eddie Van Dam was the last-minute entry, car 33. EV Dam, also in the Fangio Trophy, down in 10th position at the moment. We are watching car 25, which is Paul Denning, and he's about to complete a lap, but everyone's still green sectors everywhere, Snowy, so difficult to know where to look.
Yeah, Marcus Littlewood did purple sectors all the way through. He's first under 2 minutes at 1:59.5. So by half a second he's gone under the 2 minutes. The rest are yet to follow suit. They'll be dialing themselves in, getting the tyres and cars and brains up to temperature. So it's a RSR car leading currently, provisionally, Marcus Littlewood. And then Michael van Dijk in the Radical Netherlands, and then RJ Motorsport with Lowen Stevens in third position. Paul Denning has just dropped at the moment till in the RSR run entry to fourth place. RJ Motorsport re-established with Brian Hung in top 5 there.
Following the 911 machine of Erlen Wan Olsen, or we were, coming to the end of his lap. He's down at the moment.
That's our sole Radical Norway entry.
In 7th position last lap time. A little bit of a wiggle as he comes towards the final turn. Have to be patient through this long right-hander. And now opens it up over the line. This should be an improvement, and it is. Goes up to 5th position. But the target time is just under 2 minutes, 1:59.5.
Yeah, and Marcus Littlewood quick in sector 1 already again. He's a 56.5 in that sector. That said that Mitchell van Dijk in the Radical Netherlands car is a 44.2 in his second sector, so quite tight between these two, battling it out already for honours. So just under 10 minutes of this session to go. So a good bit of time to get some laps in, being a short lap here on the Grand Prix circuit. It's only a 2-minute lap, as we know.
Now watch out, of course, for track limits, because a single track limit infringement during a lap will have your lap time totally disallowed and removed. and of course with just a short-ish qualifying session, not a lot of opportunities, especially with the tyres going off, to actually get them registered. Particularly through turns 2 and 4 is where race control are looking out for. This is a place where you definitely benefit if you can open the wheel out and release the cars, especially slightly lower powered machines, really benefit at turn 4. And so you've got to be careful not to do that. And now we watch Marcus Littlewood, who is our fastest man by nearly a second, actually, heading down to the back end of the circuit. This big on-cambered right-hander. You can throw car into that far faster than any normal chicane. I imagine not much of a break as they come up back the hill, flat out through the right and left, cresting the rise, and then plunging back down. Lots of undulation, even on the Grand Prix circuit here at the Nürburgring.
Lots of use of the chamfered curbs there for Marcus Littlewood in the provisional pole-sitting SR3 XXR. Quite a few of the curbs, not the one he's at currently, but quite a few of the curbs are just the red and white chamfered bit, but then quite a little bit of concrete to the right, which is nice and smooth, and they're completely shallow and chamfered, so you can actually use those. Some you can't, and some of the exit curbs you can use a little bit off, as long as it's only more than 2 wheels. But of course, incredibly low, these cars. They're a perfect example coming onto the pit straight. Marcus Littlewood about to record this lap time. He's done a good sector 3. Is it going to be a new lap time? It is a new 1:59.051, nearly into 1:58. So just established that margin. That said, Mitchell van Dijk in the Radical Netherlands entry, he went down to 1:59.6. So he's closed the gap, but they're the first two that are into under the 2 minutes now. Nobody else has yet got there. Third place man is Lowen Stevens in the RJ Motorsport car, and that is on a 2:04, with Paul Denning in 2:05. So they're all chipping away at it now, gradually improving the times. Talking of time, we have what seemed, I said only just over 10 minutes ago, we have 6.5 minutes to go already of this, our first Radical Cup Europe qualifying session of the weekend.
Step Motorsport are the team that have been closest to Marcus Littlewood during the championship this year, that of course has already visited various racing circuits alongside Creventic, Mugello back in March, Spa in April, and Paul Ricard in May. So we are the 4th of 5 rounds, because the 5th round will be at Barcelona. We're coming to the pointy end of the championship then, and Marcus Littlewood with a 49-point championship lead over the Step Motorsport duo of Morten Stromsted and Stromsted's teammate Sebastian Schue. Now Stromsted is a bronze, and of course Marcus Littlewood is a silver, and so we need to be sort of conscious of that in this one, but then that will be different when we get to the second qualifying session, where we will then see other drivers in those cars. Sebastian Schue, according to my timing screens, not in this session, but will be in the second session of qualifying, even though he is listed as driver 1. So maybe they'll be a little bit closer to Littlewood in this in the second section of qualifying, which of course will set the grid for the second race. Watching Lowen Stevens, single driver silver entry from RJ Motorsport, trying to get a bit closer to Littlewood. Effectively they are in the same championship, in the same driver rating, but still Stevens is 1.4 back, just ahead of the Step Motorsport number 38 run machine. And in second position there is Mitchell van Dijk,
who's just pitted. This is the Radical Netherlands entry, number 67. He's the first one and only one to have pitted with just under 4.5 minutes of this session to go. A little bit of cooling going into the front of the car there, just to keep that temperature under control, and a chat with his engineers. So I'm not quite sure whether he needs to make some adjustments or not. Nothing appeared to be happening to that car, Ben, but he has popped into the pits. Maybe he's just done enough now for now. they say he and Marcus Littlewood are the only two drivers to have lapped under the 2 minutes in this session. A 1:59.051 and a 1:59.5 respectively for Marcus Littlewood and Mitchell van Dijk.
So he's still making progress for some cars out on circuit. This 911 Radical Norway entry with its best lap last time round. So despite the free practice sessions and testing that they've had already, drivers still able to find time lap on lap. That's a positive for the tyre manufacturer as well, that they are able to hold on. Could well be another improvement from Erling Van Olsen as Marcus Littlewood goes into the 58.9 for Littlewood. There's nobody else in the 2 minutes. And we have got 3 minutes left of the session, so we are coming up to the end of the session now. And it does look as though, like, Marcus is on a different planet to the rest of the field.
Yeah, I was just going to say to you, Ben, that there comes a point of this where you've got two qualifier sessions, two races. What's the point in carrying on round? But if you feel there's a bit more in the car still, and you've got that advantage, and you get a little bit more data from driving the car in the heat, and you can say, if you've done a 2 minute and you suddenly do a 58, you've got 58.9 is, so let's call it, you've got a second. You know what you've got in hand, so you can lap in 2:01s in the race, knowing you've got that in the bag. So psychologically, it tells you a bit more about your car, rather than am I on the edge, am I not, and take away that worry during the race, which is a great thing. Well, not worry, but a mindset in the race of, I know there's much more to come. You know what your car's limits are. You've got your margin still. Qualifying pace and race pace can often be very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, I have to say, if you can get 8 laps out of a tyre and continue to improve on the tyre, then
it's doing something right, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 minutes left of this session. We've got Michael van Dijk. Lowen Stevens then we follow with a green first sector, so still finding time. His last lap was not his best lap, 2 minutes 4:94. And he looks as though, has he made a little error? Yes, he has. Snowy just got himself a little bit too far over that curb there.
Yeah, just running a little bit wide. As you said, it's a raised curb, so if you're on the exit there, you can almost use the camber. Gravity as your friend, you can use the camber. But if you go over that high spot, the car then drops, and you've got to lift out of the throttle. The car gets squirrely, and that just costs you time.
I'd be interested to see whether race control go, yeah, well, he lost time anyway, or whether they still decide to penalise him for running over track limits. In fact, he does improve his lap time, but 2 minutes dead, 0.491, but clearly he was off the track. He was in the gravel trap, so race control either decide that is oh, this is nice, a bit of onboard from Peter Gustafsson. The race control either decides
that's the SR10 entry.
He's lost time by being in the gravel trap, and therefore there's no point penalising, or that they aren't monitoring that area. But at the moment, that lap time stands.
Well, they are now because we're talking about it, but I always say that gravel traps are self-policing track limits.
It's slower.
Yeah, exactly. It's slower, so you do it yourself. It's self-policing. Don't do it.
So he took us around this lap as we've got a bit of an on-board with Peter Gustafsson. He probably is coming to the pit soon, but you can suddenly see the undulation so much better.
Yeah, it's super fast part of the circuit up through, I think that is the Schumacher S, is it not there? A left, right, very, very fast, up to a very fast left-hander where you've got to get your braking in nice and tight. Precision, bit of driving there from Peter Gustafsson. This is in the SR10 entry. And then a very, very fast right. They always say slow in, fast out, but this corner really counts as we come up towards the end of the Grand Prix circuit. Extremely fast right-hander. Don't use too much of the curb on the left-hand side. In fact, Peter, very, very wisely using barely any of it. And then a tight chicane, left, right, a little bit of chamfer curb, a bit more curb on the right-hand side. And just at the end of the lap there, the Vidal there, where we can go left onto the Nordschleife. We turn sharp right, which is the pit lane entrance as well, and right out to the left-hand side, not using any curb there, very much within the limits of the track, and right down under the Empire Bridge and under our commentary box down the pit straight to complete another lap for Peter Peter Gustafsson in the SR10 entry, and that puts him up to, it's a Vortex car, up to 12th out of 14. He's taken the flag already.
Yeah, it was an improvement.
Second person to do it.
It wasn't an improvement on our last time. He was about a second off. So looking at the timing screens, it doesn't look as though we're going to see any more improvements. Checkered flag is out. Peter Gustafsson takes the flag, has our pole car, Marcus Littlewood. Lowen Stevens is also now in pit lane, and so that is that. Qualifying 1 has Marcus on the pole position with Mitchell van Dijk alongside in the 67, and then Paul Denning and Lowen Stevens on row 2. We reset, and we will go again to set the grid for the second race. Now Marcus, of course, is going to stay in that car, but we will have some drivers handing over to their teammates. In total, 4 drivers, 4 entries share a second driver. And that will give us an opportunity for our pit reporter, Carla Velti, to go and talk to some of the people down in pit lane. And just a little bit of a check of tyre pressures, just to tweak Marcus's car before we go racing once again. We've also got on board here with Ross Board, who is down in 13th of 14. His best lap time, a 2:04.931. So quite a field spread, Snowy, but definitely class the field. Marcus Littlewood, 0.7 of a second over everybody else. Should we go down and see if Carla can grab a word? He may not want to talk to Carla whilst he's all in focus mode, but we can see her waiting there with her camera, so let's try anyway. Carla, over to you.
Well, you know how charming I am, Ben, so let's just see. Marcus, can I get a word with you? Yeah, fantastic. You're giving us a proper show. I'm getting used to this and you're making my job very easy. How are you feeling out there?
Yeah, feeling good. Certainly a challenging track. It's a bit like a roller coaster, but yeah, certainly enjoying the roller coaster, and just all about focusing on the next run now and not killing the tyres, because I think that's priority at the moment.
If you say focus on the next run, what's your main focus? You did pretty much everything right now. Are you going to try to improve that?
Yeah, I think as the fuel wears down, it gets a bit quicker, but I don't want to lose that grip by killing the tyres. So it's going to be about managing that for the first part of the run and see how we end up.
Fantastic. I'll leave you to it. Marcus is truly giving us a really good show on the track. He did that already at Paul Ricard. He's just basically repeating, copy-paste what he did earlier on. Quite interesting to see is that some teams are putting on new tires. Now, the tire game in the Radical Cup is not very complicated yet. We have really good weather. The sun is shining and there's some heat going on. So actually all of the teams are stacking their tires outside to gain that little bit of extra heat. That is really beneficial when you go out in the first lap, maybe even the second lap, to get quicker into temperature of that tire. It is an open roof car, so you have a lot of aspects that come to driving this car around the track. It's not just the tires, it's not just the up and down, it is wind that gets into the cockpit as well, and it's just a different type of driving, isn't it? I think someone like Snowy can comment on something like that even better. We are still on red lights. The pit lane is not yet open. There are still a little bit of seconds and minutes left until we go. But you can see, for example, the car number 38, driver is in, is getting buckled up, and is almost ready to go. It is a very quick transit here. And in the Radical Cup, we have 2 qualifyings, because the first qualifying is for race 1 and the second qualifying for race 2. And on that note, I see that we have several cars lining up now in the fast lane, the so-called fast lane in the pit lane, because there is the part where the cars stop and the drivers change, the tires change and so on, and the fast lane where the cars are actually moving in the pit lane. While I'm saying that, we're going green, there's movement again, and back to you guys to cover everything.
So that car behind Carla is Step Motorsport, and they are one of 4 cars to have a different driver in for this session. So we say hello now to Philip Svensson in the number 9. We also say hello to Alan Berg in the 33, Sebastian Schue in the 38, and Diogo Dambla in the 55. Here is the result from the first qualifying session. As we mentioned, Littlewood a mammoth amount, 6-7 tenths faster than Van Dijk, then Denning, Stevens, Erlen Johansson and Morten Stromsen in 5th and 6th. Yahid Fazil Karim in 7th. Alan Berg listed as the driver in 8th position. Now, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Alan Berg when the session was going on. I thought it was Eddie Van Dam, but anyway, it's possible that our graphics have now got confused as the new session has begun. And then the 14 teams completed there by John McLeod in the 14th for RSR, Peter Gustafsson, and then Ross Board and Jesse Franson rounds out the 14 cars.
I'm just looking at Alan, sorry, but I was looking at Alan Berg, because I remember that name. He's a supercar and GT driver normally, isn't he? Very well known for it.
Now as a Fangio driver, over 50 years of age, sharing with Eddie Van Dam, who is also a bronze and a Fangio driver. That's a new name, and in fact, a very new entry. So difficult to know who was in the car. The graphics there saying that it was Alan Berg, but during the session they were saying it was Eddie Van Dam. And having spent last weekend trying to commentate on a series that basically listed the wrong driver at every given point, I'm a bit nervous to nail my colours to any mast, really, because the technology, obviously in the Creventic series we run here, they have their driver ID switches, it's all part of the series, but not necessarily in these little radicals. The RS, the car in use, the SR3 XXR, just 232 horsepower, so not massively powerful, but only 620 kilos, which obviously then means that the power to weight ratio quite a lot bigger than 232 horsepower, and available with a 14cc or 1500cc 4-cylinder engine. Following Marcus Littlewood once again.
He does like his track time. He uses the track time to the maximum, doesn't he?
Why not?
Yes, I know. It's absolutely why not. It's a different philosophy. Some people do enough required and get it in. You have to do your 3 laps under sort of international racing rules. You have to do 3 laps of a session for a time to count. Although, of course, on this, with a second qualifying session, if your car broke down now on the first lap, they would. I think the ruling is pretty well across the world, and people. I will have to go and chat with Paul Byrne after this at Steve Byrne, sorry, at Race Directors, as what the exact ruling is. He'll know. Did a great interview with him at Rickard, by the way, how the organisation works in the background. But you're supposed to have done. They'd like you to have completed 3 laps within a month of the event, of that circuit. Is the kind of metric, if you like, so you should go out. That's why I get pits saying and crews saying to drivers, just do your 3 laps, get them in the bag, and then go for a time. Drivers are notorious for not listening to their technicians or engineers, and so yes. Didn't see that, or see pit boards either, or slow down. That's another one they're not very good at. But if in a session like today, if your car suddenly, if it suddenly, a wire dropped off and the fuel pump stopped, and it stopped halfway around the first lap of this qualifying session, obviously the previous session would be taken into consideration for the rest of the event. You wouldn't just be sent home. That's no use to anybody. But they do like you to do some laps, familiarisation with the circuit and the conditions, which is why when we have a wet race, you'll often get a second green flag lap, because the conditions have changed completely, like they might do on Sunday here, weather-wise, between Friday and Saturday. You get an extra formation lap because the track is totally different, and it gives the drivers all an equal chance to see what those conditions are, where the standing water is, where the grip is and isn't. It's only fair to everybody involved.
On board with Mitchell Van Dijk then in the 67 machine. At the moment, he has the fastest lap time, although I am sure we're going to see Marcus Littlewood improve his lap time at the moment from 5th position. Great to have all the telemetry on the screen there. I know that some TV directors don't like all that messy stuff, but it does give you lots of good information to look at, to see how the driver is driving the car, how aggressive he is with his inputs. And Van Dijk then with a time that is, I think, pretty much equal to what he did in the previous session, my timing screen is completely confused by this. And yes, he did a 59.6 in the last session and has just done a 2 minutes dead 0.43 in this session. So straight away, those drivers that had the experience of qualifying one up to speed, where of course you've got other drivers coming into this session without the experience who are already starting to find their feet.
And who's set in the purple sectors though? Of course, it's that chap, Marcus Littlewood, in the number 3 RSR entry. He will be crossing the line fairly shortly, in fact, any second now. And funnily enough, goes straight to the top with a 1:59.203.
Still not as fast.
He's got form, hasn't he?
Not as fast as he managed in the last session.
So his first flying lap, Ben. Give the lad a
No,
chance.
it's not. He's did a whole session.
Of this session.
He got interrupted by Carla, though.
Us. There you go.
Here is a look at the 911 machine. And this is Erling Jan Olsen still aboard that Radical Norway car, which is 3rd fastest. It's got a, I was a bit confused because it's got a sort of a slight halo system going on, which many of the others do not. Look at the sort of second roll bar in front of the driver's head.
Yeah, good spot. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah,
You're
that's
absolutely right.
completely
Yes. It is entirely that. It is a halo system, is it not? Yep.
It's not going to do much in terms of distracting the driver, for sure, but looks a bit odd. But then I suppose we can say the same thing about halos generally, and everyone loves them.
Well, you can't deny their place in the industry now. I think they're still aesthetically one of the most hideous things ever put onto a Grand Prix car. However, they've saved lives, so the argument, there is no argument against them.
Paul Denning in the 25 machine. In 4th position and best of our Fangio runners right now. It's actually quite tight between sort of 3rd to 6th position, all in the 2 minutes mark.
I'm just waiting for Marcus Littlewood just to just seeing his times aren't as quick on the sectors this time round, so he's having appears he's having almost a little consolidation lap. So he banged that lap in of a 1:59. Yeah, and that's just been reflected in the times coming across the line there. Marcus Littlewood's gone from a 1:59 to a 2:09 on that lap. So just consolidate it, let it cool down a bit, gather his thoughts potentially, and I'm sure he'll come back at it. If not, we'll see if there's any issue and he comes into the pits. This is our RSR entry, Marcus Littlewood in car number 3, currently heading the second qualifying session. He topped the timesheets in the first qualifying session.
Now that timing screen is saying that Eddie Van Dam is now in the 33. So we did have his name listed against that car in the first session, but now it's in the second session as well. So maybe there was a correction initially as Brian Hang climbs high up the curve on the final turn. And then out and towards the flag for another time. Now, I'm curious to see what Sebastian Schue can do in the 38 machine for Step Motorsport. That's the car that lies second in the championship, and about 50 points behind, but that should be the faster driver. And look, here we are on board then with Sebastian Schue, the Danish driver. Good to see all that data. That's the kind of thing as a driver coach, Snowy, you like to see. Engine revving up to 10,000 revs. And oh dear, gets a little bit balked there, just caught the car in front at the wrong time. And that will have meant backing out of the throttle. It is 4th gear through here. Wow, and nice and aggressive through the curve. Sebastian Schue really throwing his SR3 around the final part of the lap. But I'm thinking because of that back marker, we may not have an improvement. Lowen Stevens is got his best purple middle sector, so a good improvement from him, and actually bounces up to third position. So the 64 machine at the back has shot there, moving up to third. And there is Lauren Stevens. Let's go down to Carla then and hear who she's got to chat to.
I'm in the pit lane with Morten Stromstedt. Your colleague is giving us a proper show right now as we're speaking. Tell me, how did that session for you feel earlier in qualifying one?
No, it went really well, close or better than FP1, which was my personal record. So we have a really good power balance. I'm sure Sepp will also get some good laps in.
Yeah, Sepp is pushing. I'm literally listening to the commentary, and I don't see it, but my visual eyes imagining him really, really going for it. Listen, there are two types of radical cars. There is the SR3 and the SR10. Why are you still on the SR3? Can you tell me a little bit what the good thing is about that SR3?
It's more agile. It's a smaller engine, lighter car, so it's really fast in the corners, whereas the SR10 is a V8 pushing on the straights. So the other one gives you like it's really quick corners, like almost like F3 cars because it's so light.
So is it more of a, you feel more comfortable with the SR3 and you don't even want to go into the SR10?
I haven't tried it, but it's more heavy. The SR3 is more, you throw it in, it's more technical. So I prefer the SR3.
Yeah, that's good. You always need to take what you prefer on the track. Tell me, why are you driving Radical? I want to know, why do people like you drive in the Radical Championship? Because I adore the cars here.
Well, we started 10 years ago with my son. He was 10 years old in the Radical. Now I had an opportunity this year. Before I was doing GT3, and then he's doing Formula 3 this year, and we had some budget, so Radical is quite an affordable series and great fun.
Fantastic. What a lovely story. The whole family is being sucked into motorsport. I will let you go so you can watch your colleague giving it all out there, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
On board with Philip Svensson then over the line. Oh, and a nice one up to fourth position. Good lap from the Vortex Performance number 9 entry. And we are getting some faster lap times in this session. Marcus Littlewood still has the pole position with a 59.2, but then in second position with a 59.4, much closer this time, is Mitchell van Dijk. Lowen Stevens 59.8, and then Philip Svensson a 2 minutes dead, just ahead of Erlen Jan Olsen, who also has a 2 minutes dead. On board this SR10, of course, a different category of car, as we mentioned earlier on.
Let's look at the race results for day 2 of Ricard last month, Ben, and it was Andrew Lowe, who's not on our list today this weekend. He's not here, Andrew Lowe. No, he's not.
Nope.
But it was Marcus Littlewood who was second, Sebastian Schue who was third, and John McLeod, who was very, very quick. Well, he's also not on our entry list.
Yeah, no, he was.
He is?
Yeah.
He is, my apology. You're absolutely right, in the 14 RSR entry. So he was right up there as well. So he was a front runner, and Lowen Stevens was up there as well. So that's just from a month ago.
Here is Marcus Littlewood then. Once again, clear track around him. Only 14 cars, of course, on the grid, but he's put himself in the right position. It's a purple first sector. It's not as good middle sector, so let's see if this is an improvement. Comes towards the line, and it is an improvement, a 59.072. Just an idea as we go back on board with that SR10. This car has double the horsepower of the SR3s. I did think that the SR10 was a more powerful car. Weighs slightly more, at 725 kilos, but in theory, this should be a higher performant car than the SR3s. But we're not seeing that performance being extracted as yet. It's Philip Svensson within 7/10 of a second, and Marcus Littlewood at the head of the field. Split by Mitchell van Dijk. but much less green sectors in this session than we saw in the first session. We've only got 4 minutes left, and we've got a couple of laps being deleted, including the last lap for Step Motorsport Sebastian Schue. So he's going to have to go again. And also the 911 machine. So you get the feeling that those cars flirting with the second and third sectors, that's how you get a track limit infringement, by the way. You run off the track, 4 wheels beyond the curb for car 77. Yahid Fazil Karim, who is another of our Fangio Trophy drivers. And I would imagine, also considering that he just did that in front of the TV cameras on a bit of circuit that we know is being monitored
yes,
by race control, because they said they were looking at that part of the circuit.
the headmaster is watching.
Yeah, I think that probably is going to be taken away from him.
Just to reiterate there, you're a little bit between SR3 and SR10. The SR3 is, of course, a motorcycle engine car, 230 horsepower. SR10 uses a 2.3 turbocharged Ford EcoBoost with 425 horsepower, so there's quite a bit of difference. But both cars are light, but the SR3 weighs 620 kilograms, whereas an SR10 weighs 725, so it's 105 kilograms heavier with approximately 200 brake more. So there's your power to weight ratio difference.
Still, I would suggest that means that the SR10
should be a lot quicker.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
doesn't appear to be the case here yet.
Following Marcus Littlewood once again. Doesn't look like this is going to be a better lap time from Marcus. Doesn't matter though. And sorry, that isn't Marcus Littlewood. That's Brian Huang, who has had a couple of lap times deleted. So surely will improve, because he's down in 11th position. And he does move up to 8th position with that lap. Just checking to make sure, yes, previous and current lap time deleted. I think he was on that current lap time, so may have to go again, Brian. Philip Svensson.
You know we can't hear you.
No, but I'm suggesting we maybe should continue to...
You did sound remarkably like a race engineer. You're going to have to go again, Brian.
Go again, Brian. Go again. On board with Philip Svensson now. He is not on a best first sector, but still looks as though he's pushing on. An opportunity to ride on board with that SR10.
These are one of the entries that's shared by 2 people.
Just having a look to see. He's being very kind with the curb, so he's either backing off, but I think he is backing off, bearing in mind just took his hand off the steering wheel. But I can't hear the engine note to tell you whether he's going fast or slowly.
I don't think that's a quick lap.
No.
For Philip Svensson in the SR10. Just been talking about, you say he's not riding the curbs in any way, shape or form. That said, he hasn't dived into the pits. Nearly went left onto the Hudson back then to do.
So he's building up for another one. So let's see if we can stay on board with this one, because he's building up for another lap with only 45 seconds remaining. This will be his last attempt to get this SR10 at the head of the field. And very much a slower lap, just to gather your thoughts, but also and he's outbraked himself. Oh no.
Oh, it's done. That's Kibosh, that already. That's done. It's currently overall 3rd, is he not? Yes, he is indeed.
Yeah. I was excited to watch that. There wasn't even a lock-up, Snowy. He just sort of didn't brake hard enough.
Yeah, just completely missed his breaking point by the point. I think he just, discretion being the better part of valour there for Philip Svensson. He realised he wasn't going to make the turning point. You're absolutely right, Ben. No lock-up, so it wasn't got on it too hard. It just almost didn't get on it enough. Maybe the undulations just patted the car and lost a little bit of the front end, but he very clearly just went straight on and just came out of it and just gave up. So that's that lap aborted. He's not going to improve on 3rd position. More importantly, is he going to stay on that 2nd row, or is anybody else going to cap that now? Who's the quickest at the moment on the track? It is, see, that's dropped him to a 104 section.
Push.
That's cost five seconds that bit.
No, he was miles away.
Yeah,
he took a
in that sector alone.
Yeah. So Marcus Littlewood here is visibly pushing. Purple first sector could still be an improvement, just to move the bar even further away at the head of the field. Dijk is in the pit lane, so he's not going to trouble him. Svensson in third, we just saw him out off the circuit, so he's not going to trouble Littlewood. Littlewood comes over the line and
no improvement,
although only a 10th behind what he's managed before. Paul Denning just behind him does improve, but stays in 6th position. And then Lowen Stevens with an improvement from him, but not quite close enough to overhaul Philip Svensson on row 2. So that pretty much is qualifying done then for these guys. We'll have to get them back into, well, don't know if they're going to go into pit lane. I have a feeling that they may go straight into Parc Fermé, which is around the back of the control tower here. Over the line then, all cars have got checkered flags or P's alongside them, which means they're in the pits. And that is our session over and done with. Round the final turn, Brian Huang, the last car to finish a lap time, waiting to see where he slots in, and he stays in 8th position. Here are the results then from qualifying 2, and Marcus Littlewood once again on the pole position, but not quite as fast as he was in the first session, with a gap of just over 0.4 of a second to Mitchell van Dijk. Peter Gustafsson in his SR10 in 3rd position, with Lowen Stevens in 4th, and then Erlend Johan Olsen in 5th position, Paul Denning 6th, Sebastian Scholl in 7th, Brian Huang, Pascal Bachmann now in 9th position, doing both the sessions, remember, not sharing with his wife, and then Yaed Fazal Karim in 10th. John McLeod for RSR down in 11th. Jesse Fransen, Ross Board, and Eddie Van Dam confirmed in the 33 Radical Netherlands car. So that's the end of qualifying. There is Nürburgring Castle, overlooking this wonderful circuit and the Nordschleife around it, just out of our window to the right-hand side. Let's go down to Carla then, who has some final thoughts on the Radical Cup Europe qualifying.
Final thoughts and final voices. I finally found Peter Gustafsson. I was really looking for you constantly. You were hiding a little bit from me. Okay. It looked really good out there today, didn't it? It's not too bad. Better than last time?
Oh, a little better, but I had some problem with the downshifting and I lost some time. So what?
So is that problem with the downshifting what we just saw when he missed the braking point a little bit? Is that in combination with that?
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell? Yeah, a near miss there. Tell me, the SR10 is what you are driving, correct? What do you love so much about the SR10?
No, it's the power and the speed on the straight, but it's a little tricky in the corners.
All right, so you need to really handle it in the corners because of the power, but it gives you all the speed on the straight. Is that it?
Oh, yes.
Fantastic, really good. While we are standing here at the pit wall, we have all of the cars coming in behind us. I would love to speak to Marcus Littlewood one more time, but it's going to be a difficult one with the little time that I have left because they actually all go back to Parc Fermé, so I won't be seeing the drivers very soon. So let me finish my time here off down here in the pit lane, and I hope you enjoyed those qualifying sessions, which were only a taste of what we will see during the 2 races this weekend.
Let's take a look then at the highlights of our qualifying session for Radical Cup Europe, their penultimate weekend here at the Nürburgring. Not too much drama and a few laps to get tyres and temperatures up to speed, and then Marcus Littlewood was flat out around the circuit, instantly at the top of the timesheets, and kind of not really challenged through both of those sessions. A few other cars pushing the limits, running track limits and having those track limits times taken away. There's a good challenge in the end from car 25, which is Paul Denning, the fastest of the Fangio runners. And a little mistake there for Mitchell van Dijk off on the grass. We didn't see that in real time. But ultimately, Marcus Littlewood takes pole position for race 1 and race 2 and may well win the championship by the end of this weekend. Thanks for joining us. We have Prototype Cup qualifying coming up in a few moments' time. And then Radical Cup Race 1 will be Saturday morning. We're on from 8:45 local time here from the Nürburgring. Thank you very much for joining us. And we say goodbye, but switch over to Prototype Cup for qualifying coming next from them.